I saw this line recently that I really love. No input, no output. Now, this is important to all of us, regardless, because we want to be inspired. We want to learn. But if there's no input, you can't have output. Meaning, if you don't take in new signal, new information, new experiences, new insights, if you don't surround yourself with either the individuals who can raise you up or the words of the individuals that can raise you up, you're lying flat. You're a dead man walking. You're in the gutter. So as I go through my daily life and I think of interesting things to share, it's always about the input and it's always about the output. What can grab my attention to get me to see something uniquely that I wasn't seeing before that perhaps I can share, perhaps that you find interesting? Yesterday on X, I posted a quotation from Howard Marks, the famed investor who has appeared on my podcast. And the quote was quite simple. There are no facts about the future, just opinions. Anyone who asserts with conviction what he thinks will happen in the macro future is overstating his foresight, whether out of ignorance, hubris, or dishonesty. Which means what, ladies and gentlemen? There's no predictions. So you need a strategy. You need a way to understand the odds. You have to bet. And you have to be able to take losses. That's it. There's no mumbo jumbo predictions. There's no squiggly lines on the charts. There's no quote pattern that tells you that this will happen next. And so therefore, when the squiggly line did this, or the candlestick did that, you know what will happen a month from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now. Whatever nonsense it is. So I posted that Mark's quote, and I got a couple follow-ups from people I like, one being Tom Basso. And Tom said, quit predicting and react flawlessly using your strategy, ! A great and typical Tom comment. And Steve Burns, who has been on this podcast, along with Tom, just replied with a simple 100. So there's three guys I respect, Howard Marks, and then Tom, and then Steve, echoing Mark's comments. But I got to tell you, something that seems so simple, and there is so much evidence for prediction being just bullshit, it never ceases to amaze me how many people want to fight about this prediction. The same time that both Tom and Steve are echoing Mark's sentiment, I get an email. And the email says, "Hello, Mike. I recently listened to one of your podcasts where you mentioned speaking at an MTA conference, Market Technicians Association. And only 10% of the audience understood trend following trading as you did. Did I hear you correctly? ? If not, please feel free to clarify. I'd also appreciate you sharing what you define as trend following trading. Thank you for any insight you could offer. I sincerely appreciate all aspects of your podcast, though we may vary in a few specific views. Sincerely, name." Boy, there is some loaded, passive-aggressive bullshit there. We may vary in a few specific views. No, he doesn't believe in trend following at all. He is one of these technical analysis guys who did not raise their hand. When I asked the MTA Association, I think this was in 2012, in New York City, 600 people, I asked for a show of hands. How many of you, after I presented for an hour, how many of you understand trend following as I describe it? And I'd say about 10% of the hands went up. Now, that doesn't mean they're bad people. It doesn't mean I hate the MTA. But, they don't understand trend following. Or if they do, they're confusing it with a lot of other stuff, like the guy that just wrote me. Now, I've mentioned this on this podcast many times over the years, so it wasn't like I wasn't clear. So you can already feel the passive-aggressive bullshit coming, right? And then he wants me to define trend following. like it's some unique thing that only Mike Covel knows. I'm the only one that knows trend following, and I have some specific definition that I dreamed up in my lab, and that no one else knows it. You mean the people that I learned from, the Ed Secotas, the Larry Heights, the Tom Bossos, the Jerry Parkers, the Ewan Kirks, the David Hardings, the Chris Crudens, the Jean-Philippe Bouchots, the Paul Mulvaney's, the David Drews, the John W. Henrys, the Bill Dunns of the world. These people have laid down the trend following mantra for decades. And you want to write me and ask me to define trend following for you? No, that's not what you want. You're writing me to ask me what trend following is because you want to fight. You want to fight about what you believe. And you want to fight with trend following. Now that's great. Go for it. Everyone's welcome to their point of view. You're not welcome to the facts, motherfucker. And the facts are this. If one wants to investigate trend following, CTAs, managed futures, quant trading, whatever the hell you want to call it, technical analysis, and if you go through the historical track records of the great traders, you are going to find track records. What you're not going to find are track records that go back decades for candlestick traders, or support and resistance, or triangles, or the golden mean, or Fibonacci, or Elliott wave, or Gann, or any other of these piles of horseshit. The track records do not exist, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to understand something that's in the quant trading world, if you want to understand something that's not fundamentals, the track records are where you start. Because if you don't start there, if you don't look to the people that came before you, where's the viability? Like, how do you even take off on the idea that this could work? You know, the candlestick thing, the triangles, the Elliott wave. How do you even think it can work if there's no fucking proof? Like, what's wrong with you? If there's no proof, if traders, and traders are all about money. It's all about making freaking money. The bottom line. I don't care whether you're quote conservative or quote liberal. It doesn't make a hill of beans difference. The bottom line is making profits. So the first thing you want to do, if you are new or if you are old and you just want the reinforcement, who came before you? Who did this before you? What's the evidence? And there's something wrong with your brain if evidence doesn't drive you. If you're not motivated by what came before you, if you're not motivated by the evidence, and instead you're motivated by something that you think, based on your personal experience, is clever or cute, or there's a bunch of people talking about it, or there's a bunch of books, but there's no freaking evidence, and that motivates you, I will guarantee you that your life is messed up in so many other ways. 100% you're weird, you're strange, you don't make good decisions. Now, if you want to look at trend following and you believe in it, and you happen to think there's some other piece of technical analysis that works, I'm still not sure how that works. Because it's like you got something here that has the proof, has the evidence, has the practitioners, has decades, perhaps centuries of evidence. And then you say to me, but I also believe this. The squiggly lines, the triangles, the support and the resistance, whatever other bullshit you got for me. And when I ask for details, there's none. Well, Mike, you don't understand. We're in a cult. We go into the woods and we remove our clothes and we hold hands and we study the squiggly lines. You wouldn't understand because you don't know the secret handshake, the secret sign. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. I'm not saying you people do this. Now, maybe some of you do. And, to each his own. I'm a straight guy. I'm not into whatever weird crap is going on out there. And I'm not going to apologize for saying anything I say. But I just don't understand it. Like curious people, bound by the scientific method, want to understand and want proof. So if you have some theory that the squiggly line works and can predict tomorrow and the next month and the next year, if you have this belief and you don't prove it to yourself, then what is this? It's a cult. It's Scientology. It's nonsense. What's also so fun about this is it never stops, because there's a new crop of suckers that show up every year. One group of suckers ages out and a new group of suckers are born. I mean, it's not exactly surprising what I'm talking about. Look at the amount of money lost in casinos. People don't care. They want to have fun. And maybe that is the truth with stuff like GAN and Elliott wave and squiggly lines and triangles and support and resistance. They just want to have fun. This is cute. They're in the club. They've got their unique thing they can go to the cocktail party and talk about. Well, I was studying the chart today, and what it's telling me today is that there's been a accumulation and the supply, and there's some resistance in a triangle and GAN and Elliott wave, and then some other dumb motherfucker sitting there nodding his head going, oh yeah, that sounds great. Wow, that's really interesting. And then I'm like, hold on. Who are these trend following people over here? And why do they not do any of this? And why do they have all the evidence? So the people with all the evidence are at the cocktail party and they say, well, what do you do? I'm a trend following trader. Oh, really? Where's the market going tomorrow? I have no idea. What do you mean you have no idea? I have no idea where the market's going tomorrow. Well, how do you trade the market? We wait for the market to move. What do you mean? Like I just said, we wait for the market to move. We follow a diverse group of markets and we wait for them to move. But how do you know that it's going to keep going on? We don't. That doesn't make any sense. It makes plenty sense. We take positions in markets that are starting to move. Well, why do you do that? Because they're moving. We can't predict anything. But it seems like that doesn't give you a lot of confidence. Well, sure it does. If you test it out and you trade it, you find out that a strategy like trend following will probably have 60% small losses. Your gains will probably come from 40% of your trades. And you're going to have some really big winners in there to pay for the small losers. It's kind of like venture capital. This isn't rocket science, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, yes, it takes some wrapping your brain around it. But the hard part with trend following is when you get emails like I did from this guy today, who says, did I hear you correctly? Now, of course, trend following is a form of technical analysis. It reacts. It doesn't predict. What I'm making fun of today is that the technical analysis that purports to predict that has absolutely no proof, except an army of wide-eyed people around the world who all believe in it. You know what? Here's the way I'm going to say it. I'm jealous. I want to start one of these cults. I want a cult where I can just say, the squiggly line moves this way, and therefore, and then millions of people say, oh my gosh, Mike, you're like the next Jim Jones in Guyana. Can I drink some more Kool-Aid, please? That'd be fun, right? To be one of these gospel preacher leaders that needs no evidence, just some passion. Look, I'm passionate. Listen to me today. I've got some piss and vinegar going on, but it's all on top of the data. It's all on top of those mentors, those voices that I've mentioned throughout. All of the names across my 8 books. And I got to tell you also, this guy that wrote me today, again, the passive aggressive thing. Can you define trend following for me? Like, I need to lift a finger after lifting a finger to make this podcast, to write 8 books, that I need to play some game. I need to play patty cake with this clown. who wants to give me all these nice compliments, but then we might have a bone to pick. Can you define trend following? Like it's some kind of interrogation, some type of gotcha. I gotcha, Mike. Look, I don't care whether one accepts trend following or not, but it's absolutely amazing that people ignore the evidence. They go through their life ignoring the evidence, and they're excited by bullshit. I can look back on life so far and I realize the people that I love to be around are practical. They're straightforward. They're like my most recent podcast episode with Chris Cruden. Just a straightforward guy. No nonsense. Isn't that the best way to go through life? I mean, who wants to go through life with all the silliness? That's no fun. Just be practical. Because we only have limited time. And if we only have limited time, then we have to be practical. We have to narrow down to the essence. Now, of course, if you want to drink the Kool-Aid, if you want to drink the rum punch, and you want to drift off to Never Never Land, I'm not going to stop you. But for those people out there that do want something different, thank you for listening. Thank you for giving me your time. And hopefully, I make you smile, or at least I give you a little stimulation to think about appropriate ways to look at the markets, appropriate ways to look at trading strategies. And one final note. If you'd like my new free trend following video, drop me a line. I'm easy to reach. Michael@Covel.com. I hope you have a hell of a week. I see a time when those awake will understand how to make money in up, down, and surprise markets. Whether new trader or experienced, college student or financial advisor, protecting against a crash or just trying to make a lot of money, trend following offers everyone an answer in uncertain times. To get started immediately, send me an email, Michael@Covel.com. I will send you the right trend following steps to take along with my free video. But if you want to buy and hold, trust the government and trust Wall Street, this is absolutely not for you.